Alright, so in this video we're checking out the Hobbymate D6 Dual Lite Smart Charger and the T240 240 watt power supply, and these basically go together. Obviously you don't have to use this power supply, you can power this up pretty much any way you want. I think the input voltage is 10.5 to 30 volts and XT60 here, but as you can see they're the same shape and these can be attached to each other magnetically. So there's a magnet in between or somewhere in here on the top plate and in the bottom of this charger, and you can use this power supply and the charger together like this if you don't have a different power supply. So I'll cover the specs on this one here. So the power supply is pretty simple. So AC power, of course, 100 to 240 volts. Get your power cord, goes into the wall, and then you have a XT60 connection here. This plugs in to the back of the power supply, and this plugs into the back of the charger. Got a fan there, little stands if you want to angle this up a little bit, you can do that. Pretty straightforward. Here are some of the specs. So output's 29 volts, 8.3 amps, and 240 watts total power. And here is the D6 Dual Lite. So 600 watts times 2 channels at 15 amps. Let's take a quick look around here. So very shiny here. It doesn't come with a screen protector like I think ISDT products do. 2 channels here, XT60 connections. They're both 6S capable. Lots of air ventilation there. I don't know if this is a fan. Probably has a fan. Yeah, fan here in the back. XT60 DC in, 10.5 to 30 volts. You have output power here for 5 volts and 2.1 amps on just regular USB, and then also Type-C power delivery. I believe it's 45 watts. And Type-C output is 45 watts max. So here's the rest of the specs. You can pause the screen or pause the video if you'd like and read up on this. It's pretty standard stuff. Nothing unusual about this charger. If you've seen the review on the D6 Duo from like a year and a half ago, I'm pretty sure this was going to work the same. There's a couple of things here on the side I missed. So there's this port here is multi-function port. I think that's, I forget, like temperature control or temperature measurement, something like that. And then you have micro USB port here for firmware updates, if any firmware updates come down in the future, but I think that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and let's power this up. So yeah, let's go ahead and use the power supply. I'm going to okay, so as soon as I plugged in the power supply, fans kicked on here, I think on both. On the power supply for sure, not necessarily for the charger, but it's kind of loud. So if you're going to be charging stuff, you're probably going to get a lot of noise. So I think what I'm going to do is, for the video, for the sake of making this video, I'm going to unplug the power supply so you can hear me instead of the fan. Okay, so I unplugged all that. So it doesn't appear that there's any way to control the fan speed. It just seems like as soon as you plug in, it turns on, and it's quite loud. So we'll set that aside for now, and I'll just power this on with a LiPo battery instead. And yeah, when you plug in power here, the charger turns on. You get the fan noise initially, but then it shuts off. So it'll come back on again later once you're actually charging up some, say, bigger batteries at higher current. Then the heat dissipation will build up and then the fans will turn on. But just want to show you quickly how it works. So you have a jog dial here, and it's very loud. So you probably want to go into the settings and adjust this. I think to go into settings, you long press this button here. And that's actually the channel select button. So I think it's the settings, probably long pressing this button here. Yes, it's task and settings. So long press this button here. And let's get rid of that. Oof, that is so loud. Okay, so I think it's here in system settings. Let's go to volume. And let's turn that off. All right, so exit. So yeah, this to get into the charger settings, long press the scroll wheel. I guess in the charger settings, you have the different parameters here: task parameters, system parameters, tools, channel 1 and 2 calibration, system self-checking, factory settings, system info, center. So just curiously, we're probably on firmware version here is like 1.07. So if a newer firmware version comes out, you know that you can upgrade that via the micro USB port. I'm not going to go over every little setting here, so let's just do a little test charge. I'm going to plug in this 3S LiPo. Plug in the main and then the balance lead. It looks like the negative is on the right, so it's opposite of ISDT. It's like flipped over. So I think on ISDT the negative is on the left. So the balance plug is flipped over on Hobbymate products. So it's going to be plugged in like this, like so. And then we can select our channel. This is channel 2. We want channel 1. There we go. And then we can short press the button for the task menu for channel 1. And so we change it from charge, just obviously all these different settings: power supply, discharge, storage, balance. This is all, I think if you go back to the D6 Duo video, all this stuff is going to be, I don't think anything has changed. Change your battery type here if you want. Obviously this is a LiPo, but all the standard battery chemistries are still here. It's fine. Change this end voltage here, so 4.2 up to 4.25, and that's for standard LiPos. But for high volt, then that'll go up to 4.35, and you can extend it up to 4.4 if you want. So we'll go back to LiPo. Cell count, that's usually auto detected, and then you can change your current setting here. This is a pretty small battery, 620 milliamp hours. So I'm going to reduce this current setting down to 0.6 amps. So it's a 1C reading. Hit start, and then we have our individual battery voltages here. This battery seems a little bit unbalanced. Current rating, watts, and the current total pack voltage here. It also shows you here it says 72%, it's a percentage of the battery full, and LiPo 3S, and what the end voltage should be, and also the charge time right there. So pretty standard stuff in terms of how it works. 2 channels. I think the only difference is now you have USB-C power delivery on this charger, and then also on the power supply here as well. So if you have USB-C devices, that's probably the one new thing on this one that you haven't seen on previous chargers from Hobbymate, but otherwise it works pretty much the same. Go back and I'll link some of the older videos in the description if you really want to go through every little setting here. I've already done that in like 3 other videos, so I'm not going to do that again in this one. But yeah, if you have any questions about these products here, I'll link these down below. I believe it's sold on Amazon either as a set or separately, and a couple other stores. If there's some particular store you're looking for, let me know in the comments and I'll try and look for it. These sometimes can be a little bit hard to find. They don't sell them everywhere, but I'll try and link down in the description as I find them. So if you see something that's missing, or if you see a store that you want this to be in, let me know and I'll talk to the vendor. And if there's enough interest, maybe I'll send it off to whatever store you're interested in. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.